I got my nickname from this song. When I was in the army, they used to mispronounce Segerman as Sugarman. And then they just started calling me Sugar, and that became my nickname. It's 40 years since this LP called Cold Fact by Rodriguez was released. And in South Africa, it was a very popular album. It was one of the biggest albums of the day. But the thing was, we didn't know who this guy was. All our other rock stars, we had all the information we needed. But this guy, there was nothing.
I started searching for Rodriguez when a few of us were sitting around in the army, and somebody said, how did Rodriguez die? And just coincidence, at the time I was looking for subject matter to write an article. I thought it would make a good story. So that was in the back of my mind for many years. And then many years later, I came across this re-release of Coming From Reality, and inside the liner notes said there were no concrete cold facts about the artist known as Rodriguez. Any musicologist detectives out there was the question, and I think that to me was like an invitation. I thought, well, maybe it's me.
When Stephen Sugar Segerman traded in his career as a Joburg jeweler to move to Cape Town with his wife, he went on to open a retro record store near Kloof Street. Music is his life, and true to form, that's where we found him, immersed in it.
How's it, Sugar?
Hi, Dan. How are you?
Luck, I've never quite seen anything like this. This must be the most interesting full hole in the wall I've ever seen.
Yeah, we've been around here about 11 years, and we've accumulated, as you can see, a lot of stuff.
Enter Craig Bartholomew Strydom, the journalist whose separate search for Rodriguez then came together with Sugar's and hit the jackpot.
Now, tell me, you two went on a very epic journey with finding Sugarman. Was the person you found the person you expected to find?
No, because for starters, he was alive. Okay, so we were looking for a dead person. So that was quite a shock. But the human being that we found was, as we hoped, the wonderful, modest, humble man that we had hoped he would be.
We found him in '97, but we started many years before that, so it was pre-anything on the internet. I mean, we used the library, encyclopedias, music magazines, and the telephone.
When we put up the Great Rodriguez Hunt on the internet, that was the first time anyone had mentioned the name Rodriguez anywhere on the internet. That's how invisible and unavailable he was.
When I went online, there was this milk carton with a picture, and it said, "Wanted, and have you seen this man?" I was like, matter of fact, I have seen him before. You know, I was like, I replied, "Rodriguez is my father. I'm serious."
So that night, I phoned her. I said, "Hi, I'm Sugar." She said, "I'm Eva." And we had the most amazing conversation. She explained to me who her father was, what he had done, where he had been. And then at the end, I said to her, what would be really great is if I could at some point speak to your dad. I'd love it if I could just say hello to him. Because for me, this was sort of the end of the search, and I just wanted to speak to this man. I mean, I went to bed. And 1 o'clock in the morning that night, the phone rang. And I said, "Hello?" And a voice said, "Hello, is that Sugar?" And I knew.
They told him how big his following was in South Africa. Their search led to him being invited to tour here, and he arrived to find that every concert had sold out.
I wonder how much gold have you got, and I wonder about your friends that are not.
Now on his 2013 tour, he's looking back on the fairy tale events told in the film.
Mr. Rodriguez, welcome to Top Billing.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
Let's go back to 1998. Do you remember the exact emotions that you experienced on stage when you performed for the first time for South Africa?
The only other time I felt so young was in '98 when I was here the first time. You know, it's just a very exhilarating place for me, and especially with the success of it.
The biggest producers in the US music industry never understood why he wasn't a huge hit there. But the film's success now sees America taking a second listen.
If you look back at your career, do you think that if you'd achieved fame in this day and age, that you would have been a different person?
I don't think we can tell the future. But all of a sudden I find myself in Cape Town and looking out the window, and there's seals on the dock, and there's this ships coming in, and so I never dreamed I'd be in that position.
Born in Trouble City, in rock and roll USA.
With royalties paid from his record sales never reaching him, he led a very active yet humble life for decades.
Are you angry at the people who kept the money from your music sales, the revenue, for so many years?
Hate and that kind of emotion is, it's too powerful an emotion to waste on someone you don't like, you know. No, but I think that issue about back royalties or whatever is not resolved yet, but it will be. But that's not really my focus, you see. The most important thing is what's happening now. That's how I focus.
Far from a nostalgic documentary for aging hippies, the film's earned positive ratings by critics across the media. It currently holds a 96% certified fresh rating on the review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the industry benchmark for popular appeal.
17 years ago, when you started this journey, if you had to tell yourself back then that your story would be made into a movie and then would actually be up for an Oscar, what would you tell yourself?
We could not have possibly imagined. We really just went to find out how this music icon of ours died. So to find him and then have this whole journey landing up with a movie was just way beyond what we could ever have imagined. I watch the Oscars every year, getting up 3 in the morning to watch them. And what always interests me is not the big actors, but the small guys who get the makeup awards and the costume awards, and they get up there in their tuxes, and I think, who's that guy? How did they get there? Where did this whole thing start? I never imagined that it would be us at that ceremony. I'm not saying winning, but just even getting there. And I understand what a great honor it is for everybody who actually does get there.
Was it a huntsman or a player that made you pay the cost, that now assumes relaxed positions?
When I watched the movie, it made me feel very, very proud to be from this country.
We've been getting so many emails, and a lot from South Africans, not in South Africa, but also overseas, who've said just that. I got one email that said this is the most wonderful story they've heard come out of South Africa. It's lovely to see that. It's drawing a lot of South Africans together with a nice, warm feeling.
It's been a strange awakening. You know, we had this terrible brain drain out of the country, and this movie is actually making a lot of people feel like they need to come home. It was the soundtrack to their lives.
Before they left for their triumph at the Academy Awards, Craig showed us it's not all about Hollywood glam.
There's such beautiful decor pieces throughout the house. But I've also heard that there's another significant decor piece that you've added recently to your collection.
Let me show you. This is the award we got from the Cinema for Peace Foundation in Berlin.
Oh, wow.
And they recognize films that affect change in the world.
What does it mean to you to receive an award of such magnitude?
Well, from a journalistic perspective, I think it's really rewarding because it's a real reward to see something, a story that you've written, go to such, extremes and resonate around the world. But in a strange way, it's exactly what Rodriguez did. I mean, his music touched the lives of many, and today the film is touching the lives of many.
Craig, do you think anything will ever surprise you again?
I don't think so. I think this takes surprise to a whole new level. But in fact, the film has just been one big surprise. Each success has been a surprise as it came along. Actually, there may be one surprise, and that could be the Oscars.
You actually gave up going to the Oscars to come to Cape Town. Do you think it's better to actually distance yourself from all the hype?
My decision is that I'm here to do these shows here, and the schedule is so close. I didn't think I could make it. They even had the Grammys that they would want me to attend, and I couldn't do those either because I was more concerned with playing for South Africa audiences, and they were there for me last night, so I'm theirs, you know.
That is adopted South Africa makes us doubly proud to toast Rodriguez on the Academy Award for Best Documentary Feature that Searching for Sugar Man has just won. Congratulations to Craig and Sugar, who set all these fantastic events in motion.